and welcome to Mouse in the Mitten Trivia Pod, a podcast where you can test your Disney trivia knowledge over a variety of topics. My name's Court and I will be your host. Our game will consist of 5 rounds of 6 questions, covering everything from your basic Disney knowledge to some unknown facts. Each question is worth 1 point unless otherwise noted. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Mouse in the Mitten. And if you're watching us over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, in the comments down below, let us know what your score is. Well, it is officially the holiday season, not just here in this house, but of course down at Disney. Now, if you are thinking about Disney for a loved one, if you're thinking about going during the holiday season and you need some help navigating those parks, all you got to do is email me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. We get you all set and all taken care of. Well, today's game is another round of movie anniversaries. We have 3 more movie anniversaries, mixed in with a couple of other really fun games that I'm really excited to play with you today. So let's just get started with round number 1. And round number 1 is going to be dedicated to Rescuers Down Under, a sequel from a 1970s movie. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't watched it recently, again, check it out. But let's get started here with question number 1. Released on November 16th, 1990, The Rescuers Down Under was part of what well-known period of Disney feature animation? Question number 2. What legendary comedic actor, who passed away earlier this year, plays the voice of Bernard? Question number 3. What well-known comedian plays Wilbur, the albatross, and is the actor's only animated movie credit? Question number 4. At the beginning of the movie, Cody saves what animal from capture before eventually being captured himself? Question number 5. What is the name of Percival C. McLeach's lizard? And question number 6. Adam Ryan, the boy who voiced Cody, also dubbed the Rescuers Down Under in what other language? All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. All right, let's give you some answers here on The Rescuers Down Under. So question number 1. Released on November 16th, 1990, The Rescuers Down Under was part of what well-known period of Disney feature animation? Well, that would be the Renaissance period. Now, during this week, we would have actually celebrated the anniversary of The Little Mermaid, but there were some other movies. Plus, in the past, we've already touched on The Little Mermaid, more recently with Jodie Benson's birthday just a couple weeks ago, but this is part of it. This was the second movie that was released as part of the Disney Renaissance, and definitely, especially at the very beginning when it's coming in, it's going over the field of the flowers and that sort of stuff, definitely can see a next level animation compared to even the previous movies right before the Disney Renaissance. Question number 2. What legendary comedic actor, who passed away earlier this year, played the voice of Bernard? Well, that would be Bob Newhart. Now, Bob Newhart, known for a lot of big roles. My generation definitely knows him as Papa Elf. And we are into the holiday season. Looking forward to seeing him in Elf, but he's been around for a long time. Also in The Big Bang Theory for a lot of different things as well. So he's been around and definitely very well known. And he, as an Ohio State fan, he also called a great national championship game a few years ago. That's an inside joke. Hopefully you get it. Question number 3. What well-known comedian plays Wilbur, the albatross, and is the actor's only animated movie credit? Well, that is John Candy. Yeah, believe it or not, John Candy didn't do a lot of animated stuff. This was his only animated movie that he was in. And it's definitely one of those where you hear him and you're like, it sounds like John Candy, but there's a little something that's different from his voice. But it's definitely John Candy, and definitely he played the role fantastically. I loved it. Question number 4. At the beginning of the movie, Cody saves what animal from capture before eventually being captured himself? That would be the golden eagle. He saw the golden eagle struggling. Some of the other animals communicated to him like, hey, there's a eagle that's struggling, it's stuck. He was able to release the golden eagle and then fly on its back a little bit, and then also got to see all the eggs. It was a really cool and touching scene. Question number 5. What is the name of Percival C. McLeach's lizard? Well, that would be Joanna, and that's because Joanna is a goanna. And just a cool little thing there. And definitely, I mean, they're native to Australia. They kind of look like whatever they call those, the Komodo dragons. It kind of looks like a Komodo dragon a little bit, but it's a little bit smaller. Definitely a little bit of a comedic relief as well. Last but not least, question number 6. Adam Ryan, the boy who voiced Cody, also dubbed the Rescuers Down Under in what other language? Well, that would be Norwegian, and that's because that is his native language. Now, when you watch the Rescuers Down Under, like, you can't really hear too much of an accent. To me, he sounds like I would think he's from North America, but he is from Norway. He speaks Norwegian, so they had him dub his own part for the Norwegian release of the Rescuers Down Under. So it's again a really cool story, really cool movie. It's one of those that kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, but definitely if you get a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. Continuing on now to round number 2. Round number 2 is our fast facts. This round is filled with simple questions that have simple answers. Today's category is who sang it. The way this round will work is I'm going to give you a song lyric. You just have to tell me who sang that part. So let's get started here with question number 1. Life is your restaurant and I'm your maitre d'. Question number 2. Put our service to the test. Tie your napkin around your neck, Sherry, and we provide the rest. Question number 3. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. Question number 4. Hey, grew to live in fear of Bruno, stuttering or stumbling, I can always hear him. Sort of muttering and mumbling, I associate him with the sound of falling sand. Question number 5. I've been searching my whole life to find my own place, and maybe it's the party talking or the chocolate fondue. Question number 6. Because he'll wear your favorite color just so he can match your eyes. Plan a private picnic by the fire's glow. All right, hopefully some of those you were able to get right away. Some of them maybe you're like, oh, this is a song where there are multiple people singing. Hopefully you're able to kind of piece those together. So let's get started here with question number 1. Life is your restaurant and I'm your maitre d'. Who sang that? Well, that would be Genie from Aladdin. Of course, this is Never Have a Friend Like Me. You know, life is your restaurant and I'm your maitre d'. Yeah, that's where that comes from. Question number 2. Put our service to the test. Tie your napkin around your neck, Sherry, and we provide the rest. Well, that is Lumiere, and of course, be our guest. Obviously, one of the bigger parts. I tried to pick one that's kind of in the middle there, so to increase the difficulty. But at the same point, hopefully you're able to kind of figure that one out. Question number 3. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. That is Sebastian, of course, from The Little Mermaid. Trying to convince Ariel to stay down there because, you know, under the sea, everything is better. Question number 4. Hey, grew to live in fear of Bruno, stuttering or stumbling. I could always hear him sort of muttering and mumbling. I associate him with the sound of falling sand. Shh, shh, shh. That is Dolores from We Don't Talk About Bruno. Again, this was one of the songs where I pulled it because it's multiple people sang different parts of it. So hopefully you were able, hopefully you were able to nail that one. I have a feeling you did. Question number 5. I've been searching my whole life to find my own place. And maybe it's the party talking or the chocolate fondue. Well, it is Prince Hans of the Southern Isles. Now again, this is a song where him and Anna are singing multiple parts, but this is one of the big parts where it's only Prince Hans. The rest is mainly Anna. Last but not least, question number 6. Because he'll wear your favorite color just so he can match your eyes. Plan a private picnic by the fire's glow. That is Giselle, and that is from Enchanted. And of course, this is Amy Adams singing her this is the song, like the typical Disney love song, and you got her in the park, and all of a sudden like all these other people are singing and dancing, and Dr. McDreamy's going, what is going on? But that's where it's from, and hopefully you're able to get those. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We might be revisiting this again sometime in the future. Continuing on now into round number 3. Round number 3 is our connecting the circles. For this round, I will ask you 5 questions that may or may not be Disney related, but the answers do relate somehow through Disney, and that's going to be your 6th and final question. So let's get started here with question number 1. Who is Mickey Mouse's longtime girlfriend? Question number 2. Who is Donald Duck's longtime girlfriend? Question number 3. Who went on to marry Eric after her king father gave her legs? Question number 4. Who do you fly with to Never Never Land and wants to never grow up? Question number 5. Who is the princess from Avalor and protects her land from the evil sorceress Skrullki? And question number 6 is, what is that connection? I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. All right, let's see if we can connect those circles. So question number 1. Who is Mickey Mouse's longtime girlfriend? Of course, that is Minnie Mouse. And of course, they've been together for a long, long time, but still no ring on it. Mick, what's the holdup here, bud? It's been a while. Think it's time to lock it down. Just saying. Question number 2. Who is Donald Duck's longtime girlfriend? Well, that is Daisy Duck. Same question, Donald. Same question. Why haven't we locked it down yet, bud? She is fashionable and she can dance well. Come on. Question number 3. Who went on to marry Eric after her king father gave her legs? Well, that is Ariel. Of course, King Triton gave her legs. She eventually married Eric after, someone else tried to, but with her own voice. Just, Ursula's just that way, I guess. But yeah, that is Ariel. Question number 4. Who do you fly with to Never Never Land and wants to never grow up? That is Peter Pan. Obviously, you can fly there with Tinkerbell as well, but Peter Pan's the only one that voices that he never wants to grow up. Mainly because Tinkerbell in Peter Pan doesn't talk, but that's neither here nor there. But that answer that we're looking for there is Peter Pan. Last but not least, question number 5. Who is the princess from Avalor and protects her land from the evil sorceress Skrullki? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that is Elena. And she is one of the newer princesses. She had her own show and on the Disney Channel. It's mainly geared for preschool, elementary age kids, but she is one of the princesses. So question number 6 is, what is the connection? Well, we had answers such as Minnie Mouse, Daisy Duck, Ariel, Peter Pan, and Elena. The connection there, those are all characters that you can meet in Fantasyland in Magic Kingdom. Now, Minnie, Daisy, Ariel, and Elena are all part of different queues in which you can stand in line and actually meet those. Elena is usually paired with Cinderella. They did that on purpose because everyone wants to meet Cinderella. And while you're there, okay, you just meet Elena because she's right there as well. So I get it. But there are a lot of characters that roam around Fantasyland, and one of them is Peter Pan. You'll see him doing different things, jumping around, usually around his rides. So a lot of these characters that you'll see around Fantasyland, and for Fantasyland, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot more characters that you would find in Fantasyland along with these. So again, if you want to check those out, you want the full list, let me know. I can help you out. Continuing on now into round number 4. Round number 4 is typically reserved for our movie anniversaries. And today, that is the same. We're going to talk about the Santa Claus. Now, obviously, we have reached the full-blown holiday season. There are lights up. There are trees up. It is a lot of fun. And the Santa Claus is one of those movies that always gets me excited for the upcoming season with so many memories tied to the great movie. Now, we're just going to focus on the best one, which is the first one. The other two, maybe we'll get to it another time, but today we're going to focus exclusively on the first one. So let's get started with question number 1. Released on November 11, 1994, who starred in The Santa Claus as his first major motion picture? Also, with the success of The Santa Claus, became the first person to have the #1 TV show, movie, and book in the US in the same week. Question number 2. What actor plays Scott Calvin's boss in The Santa Claus and Father Time in the second and third movie? Question number 3. Who is the reindeer that growls at Scott on the roof? Question number 4. At the end of the movie, where was Santa halfway to when Charlie summoned him back? Question number 5. What role was fulfilled by Scott Calvin's stunt double? And question number 6. What can you see throughout the movie, including at Denny's and in Charlie's classroom? All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. Let's give you some answers to The Santa Claus. So question number 1. Released on November 11th, 1994, who starred in The Santa Claus as his first major motion picture? Well, that is Tim Allen. And of course, he did that week that The Santa Claus was released. He had the #1 TV show in Home Improvement, #1 movie in The Santa Claus, and the #1 book that was a New York Times bestseller that week as well. It's the first time that anyone had ever done that. Now, he is a Michigan legend here. He's from here, went to school here, was our voice and represented our state for a while. So that's why he has such big spot in all of the Michiganders' hearts. Question number 2. What actor plays Scott Calvin's boss in The Santa Claus and Father Time in the second and third movies? Well, that is Peter Boyle. Again, a legendary actor and does a great job. And he's pretty much the only one who isn't in the family that carries over from movie to movie. Question number 3. Who is the reindeer that growls at Scott on the roof? Well, that is Comet. And when Scott's kind of walking through the roof, on the roof, he sees the reindeer and Comet growls at him. He's like, "Easy, Rudolph." And Comet growls at him again. He looks at him, "Comet, I'm sorry, Comet." So again, a funny little part. Question number 4. At the end of the movie, where was Santa halfway to when Charlie summoned him back? That would be Cleveland. He was halfway to Cleveland when he got called back by Charlie with the snow globe. Question number 5. What role was fulfilled by Scott Calvin's stunt double, and obviously better yet by Tim Allen's stunt double? That would be the falling Santa, the Santa that we see fall off the roof at the beginning of the movie. That was done by Tim Allen's stunt double. And yes, it still drives me crazy to this day when you see the rug of snow kind of fall with him as well. Now I understand why. It makes sense, but it's still to this day, I go, huh. It's just one of those little quips that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Last but not least, question number 6. What can you see throughout the movie, including at the Denny's and in Charlie's classroom? That would be elves. We of course saw one at Denny's. We saw one in Charlie's classroom. When everyone's laughing, the elf is the only one who's not. We saw one that was standing in line when they were at the soccer game. We see him periodically throughout the movie. They are checking in on Santa to make sure that he's okay to really fulfill his role as Santa. But again, it's the holiday season. It's on Disney Plus. Check out the first one. Up to you if you want to watch the second or third, but the first one is definitely always a Christmas watch. Continuing on now and wrapping up today's game with round number 5. Round number 5 is going to be dedicated to Fantasia, and we're talking about the OG Fantasia, a cinematic marvel. It is definitely a masterpiece. It is definitely unique, and it definitely advanced animation by about 100 years, it feels like. So let's get started here with question number 1. Released on November 13, 1940, what number movie is Fantasia for Disney Animation? Question number 2. Who is the only animated character with spoken lines in Fantasia? Question number 3. True or false? Fantasia is the longest Disney animated film in history at 2 hours and 4 minutes. Question number 4. Usually associated with the Christmas season, what ballet music is featured in the second act? Question number 5. The sorcerer is modeled after what well-known figure? And question number 6. What sequence does Disney reportedly still receive letters about as being too scary for children? Alright, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. Alright, let's give you some answers here on Fantasia. So question number 1. Released on November 13th, 1940, what number movie is Fantasia for Disney Animation? Well, that would be the 3rd Disney animated movie. Now, this one was a bit of a financial hit for Disney. We'll talk a little bit more as to why later, but the onset of a world war definitely didn't help that they couldn't release this in Europe, so that didn't help sales. And we talked a couple weeks ago about Dumbo and how that was kind of a way for them to kind of recoup some of the money they lost from Fantasia. Question number 2. Who is the only animated character with spoken lines in Fantasia? Well, that would be Mickey Mouse, and of course, voiced by Walt himself. He is the only animated creature or animated person or figure in the movie that has spoken lines. Of course, we have spoken lines and dialect from the composers, but the only animated character that has lines is Mickey. Question number 3. True or false? Fantasia is the longest Disney animated film in history at 2 hours and 4 minutes. That is true. Second is Ralph Breaks the Internet at 1 hour and 52 minutes. So Fantasia is the only animated movie released by Disney that's over 2 hours long. And that's one of the reasons why it was so expensive. Some of the things that they had to do to be able to create the effects that Walt wanted to create, it was very expensive, especially at the time. But again, Fantasia catapulted animation into a whole nother spectrum after this movie came out. So, you know, the pros with the cons there. It's kind of like Chicken Little where it walked so others could run sort of concept there. Question number 4. Usually associated with Christmas season, what ballet music is featured in the second act? That would be the Nutcracker. We have the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. You know, have the typical da 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 da. So if you were ever in the Disney parks, you know, watching some of that classic, you know, Disney television where you would see it when you get to the resort, that's why they have the Nutcracker in there. It's because it was in Fantasia. Question number 5. The sorcerer is modeled after what well-known figure? Well, that would be Walt Disney himself. Matter of fact, technically the sorcerer's name is Yensid, which is Disney spelt backwards. So they modeled some of the sorcerer's movements after Walt himself. It's kind of funny when you kind of see it. And now when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Last but not least, question number 6. What sequence does Disney reportedly still receive letters about as being too scary for children? Well, that'd be the Night on Bald Mountain portion of the movie. And that makes sense. Again, it's very scary. It's definitely a scene that if I ever watch this with my daughter, as of right now, she's only 2, we will be bypassing because it is a little scary, especially for her being 2. But again, what they did in that, just that sequence alone, how they were able to animate it, whole new level of animation. Now again, if you have 2 hours to kill and you want to watch something that's beautifully done, go ahead, check it out. Fantasia 2000, much shorter, just as brilliant. So it's a great movie. You can definitely see how it made some stepping stones, but definitely is a long watch. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in this week. I will return next week with more questions and more fun. Make sure you follow us on social media at Mouse in the Mitten on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're watching us over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and in the comments down below, let us know what your score is. If you're listening to us, hopefully you're listening to us on Apple and you're following us over there. If not, make sure you are downloading us wherever you can. And if you can, leave us a 5-star review. Now again, there is always things going on at Disney, and if you are thinking about Disney as a gift for this upcoming season, I would love to get that all set up and all taken care of for you. All you got to do is email me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. We get you all set and all taken care of. Well, hey, my name's Court. The dog's name is Milo. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you next time.